I wanted to come on here quick to remind you that today is the last day to get the free bonus engagement workshop when you sign up for the Dressage Groundwork Masterclass. I don't want you to miss out. The Dressage Groundwork Masterclass is only open through this Sunday. Sunday's the last day to join. We only do this program one time per year. And then today's the last day to get the bonus workshop. I did an awesome webinar on Sunday all about how to train the Piaffe in hand. So if you haven't had a chance yet to watch that, please do. Here's the thing. Groundwork is such an important tool for you as a rider and also for your horse and for their body physically. So why is it important for you as a rider? Groundwork is a tool that really helps you when you get stuck. So anytime that I'm getting super stuck with a horse, where I start getting frustrated, where I start feeling like my horse doesn't understand what I want, this usually happens with things like teaching the horse to accept the contact, teaching a horse to go round, teaching a horse to move sideways, teaching the rein back. But whenever I get stuck with a horse, I get off and I explain it to the horse from the ground, because it's so much better for me. And it's also so much better for my horse if I don't have to kind of work through and like battle through that under saddle, but rather if I can get off, teach it from the ground, and then get back on. And I feel such a big difference in my horses. Groundwork is also super useful since it's winter, right? And it's always kind of frustrating in the winter when the weather gets in the way. You can't be as consistent in your riding and in your training. And so groundwork is a really great tool to do over the winter as well. Hi from Korea. Awesome. I have two screens going. So Instagram's down here and YouTube's up there. That's why I'm looking back and forth, if you're wondering. So the second thing is, why is groundwork important for our horses? So I think of groundwork as physical therapy. And our horses are just like us. They get tight, they're crooked, they're not strong enough behind, their core is weak. And so you can target a lot of those areas through groundwork, through like the various suppleness exercises, the bending exercises. They start to use their body more symmetrically. The rein back and the leg lifting exercises, those really help to get them thinking about their hind legs and engaging their hind legs. And the reason groundwork is so valuable is because your horse doesn't have to balance your weight on top of them. So you can imagine how hard it would be to learn how to do yoga or something if you had a 50-pound backpack on your back. And with groundwork, what we can do is we can free up our horse's back where they don't have any weight on their back. And then for your horse's back muscles, it's a lot easier for them to stretch and lift up and do all the things when you're not actually sitting on their back. And so groundwork is a really, really helpful tool for your horse to figure out different ways how they can use their body more effectively and more efficiently. And all of these exercises, I show you exactly step by step how to do inside the Dressage Groundwork Masterclass. So you're going to learn how to get your horse supple. You're going to learn how to get your horse to accept the contact. You'll learn how to teach your horse a leg yield, a shoulder in, a haunches in. All of those exercises are inside of the program. And it's a skill that is very important you invest in and you learn how to do groundwork. A little bit of my history with groundwork is I had a very difficult horse when I was 14 who had a rearing problem. So I learned a lot of the natural horsemanship groundwork, the stuff with the rope halter, the desensitizing work. And that was super valuable, especially when I was riding a lot of baby young horses and starting those horses from the ground. And then once I did the natural horsemanship stuff, I went back into dressage. Dressage has always been my passion. And now I've learned from a lot of the top trainers how to teach dressage from the ground, right? How to teach the Piaffe and the Passage in hand, how to really teach your horse to engage their top line and connect through their back from the ground. So it's definitely been a very valuable skill set. And I know that it's going to help you with your horse. When you have these skills and you feel confident from the ground, it will allow you to communicate more clearly and more effectively with your horse so that you can get through the roadblocks and get through the problems that you're having. It's just another tactic rather than putting more pressure on your horse. If you can explain the same thing from the ground, then when you get back on, it's so much better. And what's really cool inside the Dressage Groundwork Masterclass is that I break it down into little bite-sized pieces. So I really show you, here's where to start with your groundwork, and then here's how to move all the way up. There's a section about long lining. There's a special section about training the Piaffe. So inside the course, I really break it down step by step. How to teach your horse to Piaffe. I think a lot of people get stuck. They do the leg lifting and then they're not really sure the next step, like how to actually get your horse to start making those Piaffe steps. So that's all inside the program. And once again, I only do this course one time a year. So the course officially ends on Sunday. Enrollment ends on Sunday. And today's the last day to get the bonus workshop on engagement. Let me see. I'm just scrolling through my slides. If you didn't have a chance to see the webinar on Sunday, I highly recommend you watch it. Let me know in the comments if you watch the webinar on Sunday, if you enjoy it. And another really important thing to teach your horse from the ground is how to bend. I feel like one of the most common things I see with my students is their horses don't bend, especially to the right. Let me know if you have trouble bending your horse to the right. But when I get on a horse and I feel like they're just super stiff on that right side, I can't get them to move over. They won't bend. They're so stuck in their body that no amount of forcing from the saddle is going to teach them to bend. That is one of the instances where you have to get off and you have to show your horse how to move their body on the right side from the ground. There's no other way. If you try to force your horse and force them under saddle, a lot of times that's where you get into problems, like where your horse might try to rear or run backwards or just get super, super confused. Another really important exercise always to teach from the ground is the rein back. And once again, the rein back is an exercise that is not natural for horses, right? Horses are prey animals. So they're like, why would I go backwards when I could just go forward? So that is one exercise that you always want to teach from the ground. And I challenge you, start doing rein back with your horse every single day, because the rein back is such a valuable exercise. It teaches your horse to engage the hind end, lift their back, elevate their forehand, all those things that we want to keep our horses happy and sound. All of those are accomplished through the rein back. So I highly recommend that you start practicing the rein back and just incorporate a little groundwork every day into your routine. Even just like 5-10 minutes before you get on, it can make such a huge difference in your horse. Groundwork saves you time, it saves you frustration, it saves you energy. All of those things are saved with groundwork. And I know I'm just like you. I would much rather just get on and ride my horse, but you will find if you spend a little bit of extra time with your horse on the ground, it will automatically have your horse more warmed up, more engaged, more supple for when you get on them. And then you won't have to have as many, I don't want to say bad moments, but you won't waste so much time under saddle, right? And I think that's important, that you always want to have quality to your ride. You want the feeling to be good. You want your transitions to be good. The more bad riding you have, then your horse is learning the wrong thing. They're using the wrong muscles. So groundwork can really help to make sure that every moment you spend under saddle, you're doing the correct thing. So let me know in the comments if you're here live, if you are a groundwork fan, a yes or no, if you do a little groundwork with your horse. One thing that people really have trouble understanding about groundwork is, do the aids actually transfer over for when you get on your horse? That is a really good question. And if you haven't experienced it, I totally understand why you might not believe that groundwork can help your riding. But a couple of things. I told this story on Sunday about working with Morton Thompson. He's he's an Olympian, he's a trainer. And so I had this little horse, Catalina. She had this like choppy little trot. And so Morton was like, come here, get off. And he worked her in hand for like 30, 45 minutes, taught her to lift her legs, taught her some half steps. When I got back on, she felt completely different. It didn't even feel like the same horse anymore. It was crazy. Sometimes you'll get off and do groundwork and get back on, and it's amazing. Your horse, like their back is engaged, they're soft in the bridle, and you're like, how does that even work? How does that happen? But it does work. And there's this awesome quote from one of my students who took the Groundwork Masterclass a few years ago, and she says, my biggest takeaway, which is quite an epiphany, is that you can train your horse on the ground, and when you get on, they know it. It's magic. It works. So it was so funny because this student, Sandra, she had a little PRE, and he was kind of stiff and spicy, and she was working on the turn on the forehand. And when she wrote that note to me, it was just so funny because she was like, I can't believe that it actually works, that you can teach this from the ground, and then when you get on, they know it. So it really is amazing how horses are so in tune with their bodies, more in tune than we are. And so a lot of times if you show them something on the ground, whether it's how to bend or how to move sideways or how to give to the pressure of the bit or how to piaffe, then when you get back on them, it feels totally different to them. So I'm so passionate about groundwork, and the reason why is that I know it's going to help you to break through some of the barriers and some of the roadblocks that you're having with your horse so that you can really move up the levels. And now, since it's the winter time, is really the perfect time to invest in groundwork. There's a lot of stuff that you can even do in the barn aisle. I had one student send me a video, and she was teaching her horse how to leg yield in the barn aisle, right? Because we all get desperate in the winter when we can't ride. We're addicted to riding, and it can be really frustrating, but it's also a time to change and try a different approach. Try some groundwork with your horse. So inside the Dressage Groundwork Masterclass, it's not just about teaching your horse to piaffe. I do go into that, but it really is about the foundational work. So we start with suppleness. Suppleness is about getting your horse relaxed physically and mentally. That's a super important part of riding. It's also great if you can get that physical and mental relaxation before you get on. And you can absolutely do that with groundwork. The second part of the course is all about connection. It is very, very important. If your horse is really braced and stiff, if you can't get your horse to go round, teach them how to accept the contact from the ground. Teach them how to give to the pressure of the bit. Teach them how to lift their back. It's so much better for your horse. And it's also so much better for you, because I don't know about you, but I don't like to get into like a sticky situation with a horse. I don't like to fall off. I don't like to get hurt. So maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. But I always feel like, okay, if I could do this from the ground first, and then if I could get on and my horse already had a better understanding of what I wanted, that would be awesome. That would be great for me. And that would also be great for my horse. The next section about the course is, once we have suppleness and connection, the next section is about lateral work. And again, teaching your horse to move sideways is something that some horses don't understand it at first very easily. So if you can teach it from the ground and teach your horse how to coordinate their body without you on them, then when you get on them, it's going to be a lot easier for them to understand. So that's another thing. Then, so once we have suppleness, connection, and lateral work, then inside the Groundwork Masterclass, you can either go on to teaching your horse how to piaffe in hand, you can work on lunging, or you can work on long lining or riding or all of the above. So lunging and long lining, again, it's a super, super useful tool to teach your horse how to accept the bit, how to use their body correctly. But it's really important that you have the correct foundation, but especially before long lining. Everyone wants to learn how to long line. It's an amazing tool when done correctly. But you definitely want to be cautious that you are really coordinated on the ground, that your horse understands how to accept the pressure of everything before you put the long lines. One of my favorite parts of the course is the Piaffe section. So there's this whole module about how to train your horse to Piaffe. And I really go through it step by step and problem solve and help you figure it out, because this is where many people get stuck. They've done the foundational work, they've done the leg lifting, and then they're like, okay, now how do I get my horse to Piaffe? So there's a special Piaffe training cheat sheet. There's a step-by-step guide that will help you go through those steps and really teach your horse how to Piaffe. And you don't want to wait too long to teach your horse to Piaffe, because if you wait till you get to the Prix St. George and then try to teach your horse to Piaffe, for one, it's too late. And for two, the Piaffe is a really useful tool to teach your horse how to use their body better. So even if you're not ready for the FEI, teaching your horse to tuck their butt under, to get a little quicker behind, it helps with transitions. It helps with balance and engagement. It helps with flying changes. It helps with a lot of things. I usually start working on the Piaffe when the horses are like 5 or 6, just starting with simple stuff, the leg lifting, but it really does help your horse to think about their hind legs, to get a little quicker behind. And then it helps with everything else. It helps your horse feel more balanced and more engaged. So one of the big benefits inside the Dressage Groundwork Masterclass is video reviews. What that means is that you can video yourself doing the groundwork and then send it in for office hours, which means that I'm with you there on Zoom. We pull up your video. I say, okay, here's what you need to change. Here's where your hands are wrong. Here's where your body positioning is wrong. Try this exercise. So that's really helpful. Again, if you need a little bit more help with your groundwork. And I wanted to just read a few quotes from our students, because groundwork is a tool that isn't taught enough, in my opinion. And so it's a big piece that many people are missing. And when you start incorporating groundwork, you're going to have some instant wins with your horse. So this is a note from Christine in Germany. She says, I love groundwork now. I never did it before because I was told that only people who are too lazy to ride do groundwork. Today, after doing groundwork, my horse started going forward and became really soft in my hands. I love the feeling. Going forward, this is the secret. So groundwork really is the secret. And when done correctly, it's such a useful tool. I think many times that when we think of groundwork, we just picture horses like racing around a million miles an hour, or we just picture it as something that you do with a young horse and then kind of forget about. But it's so important to do it with all of the horses whenever you get into a problem. So anyways, that is my motivational talk about groundwork. Once again, today is the last day to sign up and get the engagement bonus workshop, which has a lot of exercises, both groundwork and riding, to get your horse more engaged behind, plus a lecture. So I highly recommend signing up today. The URL is amelianewcomb-dressage.com Dressage Groundwork Masterclass. I will put that in the chat. It should be above or below this video as well. And then let me see if I can find it right now. If you are on Instagram, it will be in the link tree, and we would love to have you. Let me just put it in the chat now. We would love to have you inside the course because it's going to be super fun. It's an awesome course, and I love groundwork. I know that it will make a big difference in your relationship with your horse. So have a good day, and we'll see you in the next one.